Come on now, come on now. We literally got less than 60 seconds before we begin. Can we get more people in here? We are at 31, my peoples. Can we get to 35? Call them up, call them up, call them up. Let me see here. I see a phone number popping in right now. Okay. Hey, let me see here. What's going on, Daisy? How you doing? My goodness. Look at these beautiful people. Oh, we got Boston in the house. Boston's coming in the house. There's Boston in the house. Oh, my man Edward's in the house right there from Tennessee. He's here to see what's up. Yeah. We started in less than 30 seconds, y'all. Less than 30 seconds. We had 33. Can we get 2 more people in the house? Hey. Man, that's some good music, y'all. Man, I had to cut it off. It was at the right time, too. Like, goodness gracious. All right. What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? Feel free to unmute yourself. I don't want to just hear myself all day. Say what's up.
Better than good and better than most.
Hey.
Hey.
I like that. Better than
all
good.
the way live, baby. All the way live.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Guys, welcome aboard, guys. It's 9:11 Eastern Standard Time, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. Let's get this bad boy going. We are going to be doing some intense training today. And here's what's crazy. We're going to be training on the words of the business. I'm going to train you guys today. And this is really by all the VPs. All the VPs have requested this today. They said, I think you need to be training on objection handling. I think you need to be training on solidifying the close. You know, what do we do when we get a reschedule? How do we solidify a rescheduled appointment? How do we increase the ratio of appointments scheduled to appointments actually kept? Where can we grow in that world? Okay. And I want you guys to know, okay, my job and my promise to you for every training that I possibly can give you is to make sure that I'm giving you more substance than motivation. Yeah, you're going to hear the 5 minutes, 10 minutes of music in the beginning, right? That's that like intro, like let's get out of the 9 to 5 that we just finished, right? Let's hype up a little bit. Let's get ourselves energetic. Let's let all the people that are running late, you know, slide in so we don't call them out. Let's let all the people having technology issues slide in so we don't call them out, right? We get that first couple of minutes, but ultimately, my job is to make sure that if you guys are taking time out of your day, out of your family, and if I'm taking time out of my day and out of my family, it's got to turn around and give an ROI. We got to get a rate. We got to get a return on the investment. So I'm going to start off by saying this. I could train every Monday night. I could train every Saturday morning. I could train 10 days a week. There ain't no 10 days, but you get what I'm going with. I could train like that. If you're not taking this information and then implementing it on the field, implementing it in your business, you're never going to see a return. You're never going to see a return. This right here that I give you guys is nothing more than maybe 20% of what you need to do. That other 80% is what you do off the camera, is what you do behind the closed doors, is what you do when you're by yourself. The biggest weakness, the biggest risk you guys face is the fact that in this quarantine that everybody's going through, we're all homebound. Don't let that TV capture your attention. Don't let that laundry list of things you got to do capture your attention. You got to remind yourself, I am running a business right now. And if you're working a 9 to 5, I need you to remember something. However much energy you gave from 8 in the morning till 5 p.m. or 9 o'clock till 6 o'clock, I understand you're tired. I get it. But remember, that income is good enough for you to stay there, but not good enough for you to get out of there. So you got to make sure you put a little bit more on the back end. Just give that little bit more, because it's that little bit of extra that makes you extraordinary, right? That's a cliche like no other, but nonetheless, it's the truth. It's the truth, guys. You got to be willing to put a little bit into it. So VPs, I asked you guys this morning to put together a list of objections, a list of scenarios that you guys want me to help you out. I have the answers. And I'm not saying that to be cocky. I'm saying that because I got 15 years experience. I know what to say with pretty much almost every single situation that comes about. However, I don't remember every single situation that comes about. So what I'm expecting you guys all to do, the 35 people that are here, right? Show some love. We hit that 35 number, right? Okay. What I'm expecting y'all to do is to tell me what you're dealing with. Tell me what issues you guys got, whether it's on the phone, whether it's in the field, whether it's in a meeting. Tell me what issues you have, because there's always a leak in your business that you could say to yourself, if I could figure out how to transition from here to here a little bit more effectively, a little bit more smoother, if I could find a way to avoid this objection, avoid this scenario from happening, I know that I would increase my closing ratios. I know that I'd increase my closing. I've got a handful of things that I want to talk about today, but I want to make sure that I give you guys an opportunity first to say, hey, T, I'm dealing with this issue. What would you do? Hey, T, I'm dealing with this issue. What would you do? And before I actually get started, I just need another minute. I want you guys to put this calendar. I want you to put this date on your calendar, okay? March 27th. March 27th, guys. March 27th. March 27th is our March Closers College. Okay, this is gonna be what we're doing today, intense all Saturday long. All Saturday. I'm talking about workshops, I'm talking about clinics. You want to learn how to work a meeting in the field. You want to learn the scripts, the objection handling. You want to learn the products in and out. You want to learn how to answer the objections to the products. You want to know how to run a field meeting where you know what questions to ask, what not to ask, what to do, the psychology of sales. You want to know how to submit the application, how to run it, how to run a smooth operation. You want to learn that, you got to get to Closers College. You absolutely have to get to Closers College, guys. You absolutely have to get to Closers College. There's so much energy that we put into that training, guys. I'm going to be asking for some more VPs to come up and talk and train in that. They're going to teach you about the products. They're going to teach you about everything you need to know. I'm going to give you my all. I just need you guys to say, okay, I got to make it to there, because listen, I'm a product of clinics. I'm a product of 15 years worth of clinics. 15 years worth of clinics, workshops, not motivation, not 3 days of listening to people tell you their 5-minute stories. I'm talking about real, legit workshop training. Okay. You got to qualify. And if you don't know what to do to qualify, then get with your upline and say, hey, what the heck do I got to do to qualify for that Closers College? And if you know what Closers College is, you know how much detail is given and how much substance is given. A couple things I'm going to tell you is come with an empty notebook and be prepared to fill it up. If you got kids, make sure you got somebody that's going to be able to watch them so you don't have distractions. If you got dogs, the exact same thing. Make sure you get a good night's rest so you're not lethargic throughout it, because it's going to be intense information that you're going to be able to implement right away. Information that'll make you 10K in a week. Information that'll make you 10K in a week. So without further ado, I want to open it up to you guys before I give you my stuff. I want to know, what issues are you dealing with, whether it's on the phone, whether it's on the schedule, whether it's in a meeting. Let's process them. Let's talk about some objections today. Let's talk about some scripts today. Does anybody have anything that they want to bring up?
I do.
Go for it, Edward.
So in my case, everybody knows me as the restaurant guy. I've been in restaurants half my life since I got out of the military and all that good stuff. So when it comes to switching over to the financial services side and trying to explain to them that I'm here to help them and help their families set up something for the future, leave a legacy, build a legacy, that type of thing. It's hard for them to look past, all right, so this guy is the general manager at a restaurant. So what does he know about the financial services industry? So how do I get past that hurdle in most of my first meetings with potential clients?
100%. I understand that question. Number one, I commend you for working in hospitality. I was a chef for 6 years before I got into this industry. So respect, brother, respect. I was behind a 700-degree grill, flipping burgers. Ooh, Lord, nights and weekends. Tuesdays and Wednesdays were my day off. You know what I mean? You know it. Okay. So I'm going to give you the right answer. It's not going to be the answer you want, but I'm going to give you the right answer. Okay. What you need to do is you need to learn how to edify somebody else in your organization. It's very hard. And this is not just your industry, any industry that you guys are in, guys, any industry, especially if it's a service industry. If you have access to a really good market, it's going to be very hard for you to be the one that approaches that market when they know that you work in a service industry based job. Right. When they know that you're doing something else. Because the one thing that's going to go in their mind is this. They're going to say, well, wait a minute. How much of an expert are you at this? Because you're about to deal with my money. How much of an expert are you with this when you still work a full-time job over there? Right. Something isn't happening in your insurance and financial services business for you to still be working a job over here. And I don't know if I want to be a part of that, because remember, they're about to give you something that, to some people is more important than their kids, and that's their money. Yes. They're about to give it to you. So what you got to learn how to do is you got to learn the art of edification. You got to
Right.
find somebody that you can say, listen, I'm going to trust you with my clientele. I'm going to edify you to the roof. And whenever I build, because you have one thing with those people that none of us have, and that's credit. You have rapport that you've built with them. You have rapport. They trust you. You just don't have credibility. And it's not that you don't deserve it, and it's not that you genuinely can't do it. It's that they're gonna bring in their own prejudice.
For sure.
They're gonna bring in their own prejudice. You know what I'm saying? So you've got to understand the art of credibility. They're never gonna take you serious enough to invest money with you. But edify, build that relationship, start those conversations, and then when you start those conversations, edify someone to the roof. You got to talk to my man. He was able to help me out with this. Help me out, right? So if you get an insurance conversation with them, listen, I can relate to you. You ever heard of a feel, felt, found?
Say it again.
You know that technique, feel, felt, found?
Yes.
Okay. I understand exactly how you feel, right? At one point, I felt the exact same way. Here's what I found. I found that I needed to talk to an expert about that particular topic. And the guy that I worked with is this individual. His name is ... and he does ... And I guarantee you, if you have a chance to chat with this man, he is going to put you in such a phenomenal position that worry is not going to be around anymore. It's not going to be around anymore. Let me ask you a question. Would you like me to have that individual give you a call? Right? Would you like for me to have, not here's his number, call him, because they won't do it.
Right.
They won't do it. Life will punch them in the face. They'll get busy. They'll forget about that number. Would you like for me to have that individual give you a call? Matter of fact, and if you know their number, you're going to say, matter of fact, I'm going to have them call you. I insist.
Yeah.
Bam. You teed it up for somebody else to work the meeting. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? I think we had something you wanted to say. And if you want to ask a question, get on the chat box, post your name, be like, hey, I got a question, and I'll put you on the list, because I want to make sure we get everybody's situations out the way here today. Anybody? You had a question. What's up, boss?
Yes, sir. It's more about internally consumption. You know, working with the agents and getting them on their policy and overcoming the objective of, how, we don't have any funds right now. How do we work? What would be the next question after that?
Gotcha. So, listen, internal consumption can go a number of different ways. I'll tell you a couple tips. Number one, internal consumption should always be with that person alone. You don't want to do a group internal consumption. Number one, you see Puebly laughing there. She's laughing. She's like, that's one of the issues that Puebly was talking to me about having. Remember, you're talking about people's finances. Number one. Number two, don't ever have a one-legged appointment. You want to have a meeting with that agent and their significant other at all costs. Number three, ask them when you're scheduling that meeting, do they have existing insurance? If the answer is yes, they have to get you a copy of that policy before you have that meeting. They have to get you a copy of that policy to have the meeting. Okay. If they don't get it to you, be a professional, reschedule. But make sure that you respect the fact that you need to see those policies and you need the meeting to be with both you and the husband, both them and the wife. Whoever that secondary decision maker is needs to be there, right? Number four, however, is this. And again, this might not be the answer you want, but it's the right answer. You want to try to avoid making anybody feel like what they just left, they just inherited. Here's what I'm trying to get at. There's other organizations out there that'll pressure internal consumption. You got to get it or I won't work with you. You got to do this or I won't. Matter of fact, it has to be this and it has to be this dollar amount. They're coming from those old organizations. That's like PTSD to them right now. That is. It's like It's like, wait a minute. Is that this? No. I want to talk to you about your policy, but I want to make sure it makes sense for you. If finances right now don't allow you to even obtain a term insurance policy, then we need to do something different. Here's what we need to do. We need to focus on getting you out to the field and making that first commission, making that second commission, and increasing your income. Because you don't have an insurance problem, you got an income problem, right? That's big. Now, having said that, I do believe in the internal consumption exchange principle for a couple reasons, right? Number one, if the agent writes their own personal business, I want you guys to know this, okay? If the agent writes their own personal business, they're not going to get advance commissions. They're going to get paid on an as-earned basis. And if heaven forbid something does happen that application is going to get scrutinized so much more because they want to make sure that there wasn't a conflict of interest. They want to make sure that you didn't lie about your own application. So my rule of thumb is this: I don't even write my own personal business. I don't write my own. Someone else writes it. Someone else writes it. Someone else writes it. But the other big piece of the puzzle is this, guys. We're not an organization that's living solely off of internal consumption. Internal consumption is there to make sure that our agents are going out to the field and they're protected, because you're going to build relationships with every single one of them. So if you feel like one of them is hesitant about it, it could be some PTSD from the past. You want to find that out, right? It could genuinely be a budget issue. If that is the case, focus on helping them make more money. And then when they do make money, make sure they get something in place. Make sure they get something in place, right? But at least, this is the way that I see it. I can go to bed every single night knowing I at least attempted and I tried. If something does happen, heaven forbid, I at least attempted. What I can't live with, that person was right in front of me. I was working with them and I never asked them if they had coverage and then something happened. I can't look at a spouse in the face if something like that happens, knowing that I had the tools and resources to make their grieving period less hurtful without them having to worry about the finances. I mean, think about, there's families out there right now that they got to go to work the next day and they just lost their husband, their wife. They just lost their kid. They got no choice. They got to, because there's still a surviving family that needs them. If I can help prevent that so that they can say, I'm not working, I'm going to cry in bed every single day for the next 6 months. I want to be able to know that finances is not going to prevent them from getting, it's not going to stop them from doing that. If they want to go see a grieving counselor, I want them to be able to do that. If they want to disappear, get out of Dodge, just go somewhere and have a guys, I know what that's like. I've gone through grief, y'all. I mean, you are not yourself when you go through that pain. You want to do anything in the world to get out of that. The last thing you need is finances saying you can't get out of that world. You got to stay in it. So if I asked, I can at least go to bed at night knowing I at least asked. Does that make sense, Weed? Does that give you a little bit of clarity with it? Good? Good? Okay.
Yeah, because I kind of felt like a little bit uncomfortable, like how you said, going back from PTSD from the other company. I just didn't want to feel like, oh yeah, you have to do this, you know. So that's why it was a good question to ask. You know, how do we go about it?
Correct.
You know,
the other thing
the importance and re-educating, right?
Yeah. The other thing I will tell you guys, and I'm very transparent. I've always been able to get out of a situation by just being upfront and honest. I've always been able to get out of a situation. You know, someone who tells the truth can have a bad memory. You ever heard that before? You don't have to have a good memory when you tell the truth all the time. You got to remember what lie you said. So the reason I say that is because just be upfront with them. Hey, listen, I don't want you to feel like this is PTSD. If that's the way you feel, I'd rather wait. But my reason for wanting you to get protected and covered is because we're about to do some work together. And I'm going to build a relationship with you. I'm going to get to know you. I'm going to get to know your family. If heaven forbid something happens to you, I at least don't want to look at your family in the face and have to tell them that I wasn't brave enough to at least ask you to get coverage in place. We at least had the conversation. And not only that, bro, I want you to understand something. It's going to be very hard out there to sell something you don't have. Believe it or not, your own policy is one of the marketing tools you should have in your binder to show. Not only, y'all remember those commercials, right? Not only am I recommending it, I'm also a member too. Same concept. Same concept. It's the truth. This is what I did for my family. That tells a story. Oh, okay. So just be upfront with it. No problem. Cool. Any other questions? What other questions do you have? Whether it's scripts, objection handling, you're having issues with the amount of appointments that you're scheduling or not scheduling, like talk to me, guys. This is about you. Come on,
Tony.
There we go. What's going on, Josh?
Can you hear me okay?
I can, brother. I can hear you. What's up?
So, coming from practice company, working only in a referral market, and that was the culture. Going from that and then going into buying lead packages and the mentality shift, like, and then just, you know, I know we have the script to use, and then that's just been on my radar to actually just, you know, role play that script to myself and practice it so I feel comfortable doing that. But yeah, just a little bit more on like getting into the mindset of calling leads for the first time.
Okay. So there's 3 ways to generate income. And that's what I absolutely, utterly love about this platform. Some of us came from a platform where there was only one way to generate income, and that was through recruiting. There's 3 ways to generate income in this model. If you're a good recruiter, bro, keep recruiting. If you're a good recruiter and you're good at doing an orientation and you're good at getting people out on the field and you're good at internal consumption, then keep doing it. You're going to get great overrides as long as you're still working with people. Here's what you don't want to do in that world. You don't want to be a good person at the orientation and then not willing to teach them anything else after, right? Then it's like, okay, you just got your own, but now they're left to do nothing. You don't want to be that guy. That's PTSD, right? So if you're good at that world, stay in that world. If you're good at referrals and doing what I like to call nesting, I was taught the art of nesting, then stay in that space, right? What exactly is nesting? You generate a client. When you're taking the application, you begin the process of nesting. Here's what nesting is. Mr. Client, if something should happen to you, who are 2 beneficiaries that you would assign? And you get their info. Mr. Client, if something happens to you and both those 2, who are 3 contingent beneficiaries that you would assign to inherit this money? Mr. Client, are these 3 people the same people that would take care, that would be in charge of your kids, or would they just be in charge of finances? Okay, so they'd be in charge of finances. So who would you entrust with your children? Okay, great. Those people will not have the luxury of being able to talk to you in the event something happens to you. I need to have what's called a fiduciary meeting with them because it's my fiduciary responsibility to make sure that they know the ins and outs of what this policy that you're applying for does and doesn't do, what the 800 numbers are, what the protocol is in the event something happens. They need to know that there's living benefits and not just death benefit in this plan. Because so many times people will put life insurance in place, but they don't tell their beneficiaries. And then there's a lot of financial struggles happening that could have been avoided because they just didn't know these plans were in place. So listen, with your permission, Mr. Client, I'd like to have a 20-minute conversation with each one of these and explain to them what this plan does and doesn't do, what the contact numbers are, and make sure they have access to me in the event that they do need to call me because something happened to you. Is that okay with you, Mr. Client? Sure, no problem. Now what you have is 5 referrals, 2 beneficiaries, 3 contingents. And you're literally calling them up and you're saying, hey, Mr. Client, I just want to introduce myself to you. My name is Josh Collier. I'm a financial representative with a company called TKO Financial Network. Your uncle just recently took on a policy, an insurance policy. I just want you to know, and I hope you feel very honored that you've been assigned as one of the beneficiaries. And it's my responsibility to go over what this plan does and doesn't do. And I just need about 20 minutes of your time on a virtual meeting to explain that to you. Is that okay with you? Yeah, sure. What's this about? Well, he's got a policy in place and there's certain benefits that we need to make sure you know about in the event something happens to him, as well as the contact numbers in the event something happens to him. And all it does, guys, is it gives you another opportunity to present. So what you're doing at that meeting is you're presenting the product that they purchased. And then you're saying, listen, I don't want you to get confused with some of the other products that are out in the market space, which then give you an opportunity to present the other products that are out there. So if they buy an IUL, you can then explain term. There's products out there that work like this, but they don't do this. You can explain GUL. There's products out there like this that do this, but they don't do this. And all you're hoping for is that the client says, well, I need something like that. And if you build enough of a rapport with them, you can then say to them, Mr. Client, before I get off the phone here with you, I want to thank you for giving me that chance to chat with you, but are you currently covered as well with one of these plans? You're not. Well, listen, I just want you to know you were assigned as the beneficiary to their children, right? Would it make sense for you to possibly get something in place for yourself? Right? And it gives you another that's nesting. You're working inside of the family tree. You're working inside of the family tree, inside of the family tree. Okay. A question was, how do you close them on Zoom? I close them on Zoom the way I'm doing it right now. I'm on camera, right? If you notice, the back is a professional setting. No one would really know right now. I'm literally in my kitchen, not my kitchen. I'm sorry, my dining room. My dining room has been eliminated. It does not exist. Okay. It is an office. It's here. And if I'm having a client meeting, how many times have you guys seen me wearing stuff like this? And then we hop into a client meeting, I put on a button down, right? And a blazer, right? Like, boom, I'm in action. I'm ready to have a business meeting with you right here. I've invested. I've got a 1080p HD camera so you guys can see me clearly, okay? I've got lighting in front of me. I've got lighting to the side of me to make sure that I don't look shady. Right? I've got a backboard here so I do a lot of my presentations right here. I've got the digital ones right there ready to screen share. I do it right here like I'm face-to-face with you. I do it right here like I'm face-to-face with you. So if you're the person that likes to write on a dry erase, like you like to write on a legal pad in your meetings, just use this as that. If you're the person that likes to show a flip chart, just screen share and show your digital flip chart. And when the client decides to take an application, have an application in your hand ready to ask, just like that. ready to ask just like that. And Josh, I don't want to sidetrack, but I wanted to point that out. This is the direct answer to the question that you asked, right? How do you transition from, doing top 25 practice appointments to now lead generation? You know what it is? I wish I gave, again, I'm going to give you the right answer, not the answer you want to hear. The best way, role play that script a couple times and then fall forward and do it. Fall forward and do it. Honestly, fall forward and do it. Because here's the thing. When that person on the other line says to you, yes, I am in the market, that's it. You can get out of your script and go into what Josh Collier does to sell insurance. Great. I appreciate you letting me know that you're looking for insurance. Mr. Klein, when's a good time for us to sit down in the next 24 to 48 hours? Boom. Like you can literally get out of script mode because the person just said yes to you. Now it's like a regular meeting. You can forget the fact that it came from a lead. Now you got to give them your charisma, sell who you are, because you're selling three things in your first meeting: yourself, the company, and the product. But you first got to sell yourself. Never mind the company and the product until you sell yourself. So now you go into sell you as a financial representative, as a trusted advisor, right? The one thing you're always going to have going against you, Josh, I would hazard a guess for the next, how old are you, 22?
Yep.
For the next 8 years, the one thing you're going to have going against you is your youth. Not only your youth, but the fact that, bro, you look young. And I say this to you because you need to know that's what you need to defend yourself against. You see, I could walk into a meeting, with a button down and no tie, and people will look at me professionally because I got the gray hairs right here and I got the seniority. You walk in with a button down and they're looking at you sideways. You need to overcome. You need to overcome everything every stereotype you can have about your youth, which means you got to show up. You're always in a suit. You're always in a button down. You're always ready to go because they're looking for a reason not to do business with you. And the only thing you want them to have is that stereotype that you're young, but everything else overcomes it. Everything else overcomes it no matter what. Everything else overcomes it. That's my best answer for you. Cool?
Yeah, it's okay to look young, but it's not okay to act young.
There you go. Listen, just so you guys know, I say this to you because it's my job as your coach. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to tell you exactly where your leaks are in business and what you need to do to help emphasize it. I learned Northwestern Mutual, if you look it up, in Naples, Florida. That's where I learned wealth management. Naples, Florida is like a retirement heaven, a retirement waiting room. Literally, it's a retirement waiting room, okay? It's the third wealthiest city in the United States. It is 95% Caucasian American. I was in my 20s, dark-skinned, young, okay? Dark-skinned and young, and my first name is Jose. You guys want to know what's one of the reasons why I stopped using my main name, Jose, is because I realized that people on the phone, if they wanted to have a stereotype, they immediately had it with a name like Jose. But they had no idea who's on the phone when I say, how you doing? My name is Tony. You want to know what gave birth to that? It was that. Don't get me wrong. My family's called me Tony since forever. I've always been known as Tony. But at one point when I got into the professional world, I wanted to use my real name because when your securities licensed, your business card has to have your first name. You can't use nicknames. So I was securities licensed. I had to be a Jose. I'm like, man, it doesn't look good if I'm saying Tony, but giving a Jose card. So I tried to use Jose. It didn't work. I had to change it. I had to completely and utterly change it. I got an agent on right now. Is Howard, right? You guys, everybody knows Howard? Okay, Howard, are you on the call?
Yeah, Tony, I'm here.
Watch this. Watch this. You'll understand why I'm doing this. Howard, how was your day today?
Fun, thank you. And yourself?
Tell me what you did.
I had some meetings. I have been speaking with the developer on the CRM. I have been submitting some applications, phone calls, taxes.
Okay, pause for a minute. What's the first thing you guys heard about Howard? Come on now, we know it. What is it?
His accent.
His accent. He's got an accent.
He's got this
Right?
drop dead sexy accent.
Okay, so hear me out. He calls me up one day. He says, "Man, I don't understand. I don't understand, man. I mean, I'm using the scripts, but I can't schedule a meeting for the life of me. And I say to them to this, I go, can I give you some advice? Are you open for it? He says, yes. I said, do you ever stop to think that maybe they're automatically turned off because they hear an accent and they think you're coming from another country, you're calling from another country? How many call centers are there in a third world country where people on the other line speak with an accent? He says, I never thought of that. What should I do? I said, here's what you should do. You need to disclose it right away. Disclose it right away. Disarm them from that stereotype. Because how should I say it? I said, here's how I would say it. Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Howard. Just so you know, okay, I'm speaking with a South African accent because I'm from South Africa, but I'm here located in South Florida. Disarmed. Now that stereotype of, oh, this guy's calling me from another freaking country, it's a call center, that gets eliminated and they're at least ready to listen. They're at least ready to listen. I think, I'm going to hazard a guess, he's made more sales after that than before that. Okay? Now, here's another piece. Again, are you willing to get straight up constructive criticism? I had an agent that had a stutter. I had an agent that literally had a big stutter when he got on the phone. So when people don't know who he is, they're thinking he's nervous. He's just stuttering the script. So I said to him, disclose it from the beginning. He said, what do you mean? I said, disclose it from the beginning. When you get on the call, let them know. My name is ... I'm not going to disclose his name, right? My name is ... I apologize, but I have a stutter. I'm calling you because, and at least it disarms them from thinking, oh, this guy's new, he's nervous, that's why he's stuttering on the script, click, hang up. He ended up having more people listen to him because he was just outright honest about it, just dead, I mean, boom. You get what I'm saying? So be direct about that piece. Like if I'm Josh Collier, I'm walking into meetings saying, nice to meet you. Listen, I know you're looking at me, you're thinking I'm 19 years old. I look like Chicken Little, but really, I just want you to know I'm 22 years old. I'm about to get married. I'm a professional. I'm here to help you with your finances. And I know more than most 30-year-olds. Disarmed.
But wait, Tony, hang on. I said that one time and it became a problem for somebody that I addressed it and it wasn't a concern from them. So how do I walk that?
Don't worry, disclose it. Listen, if it's not a concern to you, I applaud you because unfortunately we live in a world where a lot of the times it is of concern.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that. Just disclose it. Nothing wrong with it. Disclose it. People will respect you more with honesty than anything. It's just the truth. They respect you more with honesty than anything. Anybody else? What's another objection you guys have? I'm reading what Jamal said. I had a person tell me that they weren't interested because of a small percentage of people are successful. Are you talking about from a recruiting standpoint, Jamal? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes, from a recruiting standpoint.
Okay. Again, I'm going to give you the honest truth. I'm not going to give you what you want to hear. That's somebody that I'll say thank you so much and keep going. If they're already eliminating themselves from being considered part of that small percentage, that's somebody that you're going to constantly have a hurdle with their mindset throughout the entire journey of entrepreneurship. And I'm not here to motivate people. I'm here to work with motivated people. So I would, in my mind, be thankful that they disclose that mindset from the beginning because I don't want to spend more time believing in your dream and believing in your potential than you believe in yourself. Next guy. Yes, Puebli.
I have one. And I've actually gone through the same scenario twice where I met with the person and we scheduled a follow-up. During the follow-up time period, a death in the family happened. So how do you follow up where you're still sympathetic, but come on, like right. you just saw what you went through and your family wasn't ready. So how do you put that urgency with still being sympathetic about it?
Yeah, because you don't want to feel like
you're just think that could have been you.
Imagine that was you. No. I understand your position because what you're basically saying is I don't want to make it seem like I'm unsympathetic and I don't want to make it seem like I only care about the commission. That's what your worry is. Okay. I learned this from my agent who did pass away. Remember, I had an agent that passed away. He came on board December 31st, 2018. He passed away February 14th. I still have his picture here. And I was able to do an internal consumption and get a policy on him that paid to his daughter. Here was my conversation with the family. Again, very honest, very direct. Listen, there's people grieve in very different ways. Some people prefer to be distracted with what's happened and want people to treat them like nothing happened. Some people prefer to create distance from the world and just need some space. I don't want you to think like I'm not concerned about your financial well-being, but I need to know, how would you like for me to treat you during this time of grief? Do you prefer that I continue as though nothing happened because it's helpful for you to just process the issue and push it aside? Or do you prefer that I give you some space to let you process the issue? And if you want space, when would you like for me to re-engage? That's the way I treat it. Because then they give you permission. Some people, believe it or not, are going to tell you, listen, I know that I'm an emotional wreck and I know that it's important. I just need like 2 days and then go ahead. But now they gave you the permission to reach out. Some people are like, no, I need you to act like everything is normal. Like, please, everybody's, oh, woe is me, woe is me, woe is me, woe is me. I just need 1 or 2 people to act like I didn't just go through this hurricane. I don't need people to victimize me. I just need some realism. You know why I say this to you guys? I went through that. I went through that heavily. You know, a lot of people would say to me, you know, you shut down and disappeared. I shut down and disappeared when I went through my grief, because every single time I looked at somebody that knew me from practice company, the face they gave me was that face of, oh, poor him. Oh. And believe it or not, it started to affect me negatively. I just wanted to be around people that didn't know that I just went through a hurricane and back. I wanted to be around people that didn't know that I just went through hell and back. Just some people to treat me normal, because that was the best way I could process it. If every single time somebody looked at me and they're like, then it's just a reminder of what happened, versus I got to be around people that can just treat me like I'm a normal human being and something didn't happen to me. So I ended up having to distance myself. And believe it or not, the people that I was closest to during that period of time were the people that just treated me like Tony, not the people that treated me like Tony who just lost somebody, right? But that's me. Some people are totally opposite. Some people are like, no, they need to process the issue, talk about it. You know, they need to relive it in a way. That's their grieving process. You got to ask them. And that's typically what I and just so you know, I do that times of grief, times of divorce, times of, you know, any of those, you know, tragic type things. Listen, I want to be respectful to you. And I also don't want you to think like I don't care. So I need to know, do you want me to engage with you with regards to this conversation? And maybe that's good for you to act like nothing happened. Or do you need me to give you some space? I ask you that because I don't want to give you space and then you feel like I don't care about you or your finances, but I also don't want to press about your finances and then give you the feeling like I don't care about what you're going through. So how would you like for me to behave with you? Ask. Simple as that. Nothing wrong with that. Cool. Any other questions?
Thank you. That was really
That was
good.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Hey Tony, how do you close the deal? How do you prevent them from saying you know, I'll get back to you, or when they're waiting for them to sign something so that you can complete your sale? How do you get over that hurdle?
Okay, Lamont, I'm gonna use you as an example, and I'm gonna take a stab at this. I hope I'm right. Okay, you're married. When you got down on one knee and you proposed, was there a shred of doubt that she would say yes? Or I'm sorry, a shred of doubt that she would say no?
Not at all.
Not at all. You knew. Like, I'm getting a yes because there was enough times. Here's why you knew. You did enough trial closes to know that when you got down on one knee, she was gonna say yes. There was enough key indicators along the way that let you know. You look at Puebly, she's like, there was enough key indicators to let you know that she was gonna say yes before you got down on one knee. Right? That's the truth. That's the reality, right? Let me, Howard, would you agree with that statement or not?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Right? We know. Same thing in the world of sales. Guys. I like to do trial closes along the way before I ask for the check. Right? So what are the things that I do? When I'm doing, right, the hustle presentation and I'm explaining term, GUL, IUL, I'll stop after I do GUL. And I say, listen, out of these 2 products right here, before I show you the third, out of these 2 products right here, if these are the only 2 kind of products I'm bringing to the table right now, which one of the 2 would you be more interested in based on value of the product and actual current budget? Which of the two? Because if they tell me, listen, I love the GUL, but I can only afford the term, why am I even going to talk about the IUL? Now I'm going to focus on closing the term. Mr. Klein, let me ask you a question. On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your level of interest of getting this policy? Oh, I'm a 7. Okay. If they give me a 7, I'm not done yet. I got to keep bringing in the value. I got to keep talking about the urgency. I'm not asking for that check until I've got enough yeses. I need this. Yes, this makes sense. Yes. Then you know how I close? What do you want to do next? That's how I close. What do you want to do next? I think Puebly's laughing because she's seen me do it enough times. I'm literally there like, does this make sense? It does make sense. Awesome. Scale of 1 to 10. Where's your level of interest? 1, Tony, what a waste of time. 10, this is exactly. No, I'm a 10. I'm a 10. Okay, so what questions could I help answer for you? What would you like to do next? Well, I want to apply. Perfect. I know they're going to say that because they've given me enough yeses along the way. You know, that's the difference. So there's a phrase called presenters. What's the term? Oh my God, what's the phrase? Presenters, facts tell and stories sell. Facts tell and stories sell. No, that's not the phrase. There's another one. I can't remember the thing, but basically this, don't be a presenter. A presenter does nothing more than present. And then at the end they say, so what do you think? No, you want to go back and forth. You want to have a dialogue with the person along the way. Dialoguing with the person along the way is a touch point. You're just testing the waters. How are they responsive? How are they reacting? How are they responsive? How are they reacting to this? And when you find the pain points, hit the pain points hard. Like when I'm talking about retirement, I'll say things like this. You know, 2008 was a very rough year, right? And then I want to see how they respond. No, I lost a crap ton of money in 2008. Okay, how did that feel? Well, it sucked. I had to start all over again and da-da-da and da-da-da. Where was your money invested? I was in real estate and I was in the stock market and da-da-da and da-da-da. Let me ask you a question. If you went back into that world again and relived it, what would you do? Oh my God, I don't know what I would do. So how important is it to you to make sure that you don't go back into that world? It's really important to me. Scale of 1 to 10, how important? 10, okay. So what if I can show you a world that's completely opposite to that, but still has market-like returns? You get what I'm saying? They're closing themselves along the way because I hit hard on the pain points and I get them in yes mentality, yes mentality, yes mentality, yes mentality. Constantly, I'm getting them in yes mentality. That make sense? Good. Pueblo, you unmuted yourself and you had a question. What was it?
Oh, when you said that, I was smiling because I've been hearing you, and it's funny that I'm picking up on a lot of your closing questions or phrases, and literally that's what I want. I want to have so many repetitions, training with you, that I want to become so good that it just becomes flawless. And I've noticed a lot of my language changing. Good. Repetition, guys, it's true. She's 100% right, guys. No, look, I say it all the time, but it's the truth. I give 100% credit to my ability to work in this industry and close to my first year in business. My first year in business, guys, Northwestern Mutual does not let you write a piece of business your first year. Every single piece of business, you got to take a field trainer out with you. That's how much the name brand Northwestern Mutual means to the company, that they don't want to let anybody out the gates without one full solid year of joint work. And I'm talking joint work, 50-50 splits the entire year. I wrote 105 units of business my first year, 105 units of business. I went with a field trainer out to sell. It was that repetition. Now that doesn't mean that he was doing the work the entire time. Literally in the beginning, I watched. And then you know what he did afterwards is, okay, now you and I are going to do it together. And you're like, wait, what? Right? But you do it together. And he was always there to bail me out in moments where I messed up. Right? And then after a little while, you know what it turned into? Okay, Tony, you're gonna case design this. Here, get it. Make sure it's in my inbox by tomorrow morning so I can take a look at it before we go to the close. It got towards the end, I was his assistant. Towards the end, I was doing everything. I was making the calls. I was overcoming the objections. I was scheduling the meeting. I was running the illustrations. I was doing the actual needs analysis in the meeting. He was just watching. And you know what? He still took 50%.
because he was taking time out of his day to learn and make sure that I was doing the thing right. I realistically was ready to be out on the field after 9 months, but he wouldn't let me go until 12 months. It takes that repetition. Anybody else have any questions? As I do want to address a couple things as well.
Can I ask another question?
Yes, go for it.
Sorry. How do you address the military market, where I know they do get a policy, and I reach out to my buddy who's a retiree, and he says their policies are, I'm not gonna say what he said, but they're not as good as they're told that they are good, right? And I don't know if we have any military people here that do have one, but I guess they're given a booklet that explains what they get. But how do you overcome that, where you sit down, you sell, they understand the value, or they really don't understand because they would have bought, but they understand the importance, but they think that what they have through the military is good enough.
Yeah, so the best thing you can do, and this was something, again, this was an exercise that was given to me every time, is have somebody in the military that's willing to expose their policies and find the leaks. The majority of the policies are through the USAA, okay? USAA, okay? Ends when they leave the service. Okay, there it is, SGLI. Kenny, you know it, go ahead.
So I just wrote a policy on a military lady this weekend. She was in the service for 25 plus years. And when she got out, she realized that the policy didn't come with her. She was paying, it was cheap too. She was like, I paid my $25 for 25 years. And I don't have no service. And I was like, well, that's the SGLI, and it ends when their service ends. So she was upset because she had turned down policies while she was in the service, thinking that that was going to protect her. And now she's 50 something years old. And I tried to find an expense policy, and she got declined.
There you go.
So those SGLI, any military person that will tell you that has retired, that the SGLI is just not what it's cracked up to be. So I would just challenge them that it's just like having a company policy with your job. You always need to have something personal as a backup, because as much as we love Uncle Sam, sometimes he doesn't keep his promises.
Excuse me, I'm also in the military. So what I found out is that after the SGLI, the veterans can do the VGLI. But the problem with VGLI is it's the same thing. It's also a group life insurance. So you can, most of the time what helps is that especially the younger I was in the Air Force. So most of the time what I post in our group is that, did you know that SGLI was a temporary life insurance, and most of them didn't know about it. And then it helps when I discussed about them, the living benefits of the other types of insurance.
There you go. We just lost you there, Jess. You're muted. I apologize. Go ahead and unmute and finish that last piece.
Oh, so it helps that you ask them if they knew that it was temporary, because most of them, and some of them didn't even know that they're paying for their SGLI. It's crazy, because most, like for me, when I joined, I just signed everything, because that's all you do is hurry up and sign everything. And they don't really explain to you how it works. And then when you separate, because I separate from military a couple years ago, they don't even tell you about the veterans benefit, which is also the VGLI after your SGLI. And so I ended up losing my SGLI and not transferring it to VGLI. But now I have my term and also my IUL. But
there you go. So there you go. So the things I've learned about the plans, and this is how I learned it, guys, just so you guys know. If there's a company I don't know about, I go and I investigate. I want to know the ins and outs of the policy. Somebody that I'm working with has to be willing to give me a copy of the Enforced Ledger. Let's have a phone call with the carrier and let's find out what it does and what it doesn't do. So everything they mentioned is 100% right. SGLI doesn't transfer over. Okay. VGLI is a very watered down version of the main benefits when you're in service. No living benefits when you're when you do retire. Those are gone. You don't have any of those. Permanent plans that they have are ULs. They don't have IULs. Okay, so they have UL plans. They don't have IULs. So those are just some of the leaks that are there, right? How I and Kenny had a good little saying there. When he had a little good saying there. What I typically say, and I say this with employer plans, and I say this with military. I say, can you agree with me? Again, this is me getting them in yes mentality. Can you agree with me that one of three things will happen in this lifetime? You're either going to retire from where you're currently at. They're going to let you go from where you're currently at. Okay. Or, hang on. Goodness, I just completely drew a blank. You're going to retire from where they're at. They're going to let you go, or they're going to close down. One of the three will happen. Would you agree with me? They're going to say yes. Okay. Do you know when one of these three happen, the insurance that they're providing you stays with them? It stays with them. So I just want you to understand something. Unless you're planning to work at that employer or be in the military for the rest of your life, and you can guarantee that the benefits that they're providing you are going to always be there, you've got some exposure. And I don't know how you feel about that exposure, but it might make sense to start looking into it. Oh, my employer pays now I'm shifting gears a little bit, right? To employer plans, right? Oh, but my employer pays it. That's great. But do you know that the benefits are now taxable? So you know, if the employer pays the premiums, the benefit is taxable. The death benefit is taxable. If the employer pays the premiums when you leave the employer, that insurance also goes, because it's called an employee benefit, not a person benefit. Does that make sense? Okay. Anybody else have any other questions? I'd like to go for maybe like another 10 minutes. If you guys are open to it, you're free to log off if you need to. But if you want to go another 10 minutes, I can give a little bit more on some of the scripts that I wanted to go over. Good?
I just had a quick question about what you said earlier.
Yes.
When you were talking about Northwestern, is that how you do it also with the training appointments where you split 50-50 for your first year?
I don't do it that way. That's how I was taught. So it's always open. Like Puebli always asked me, I want to do it the way you did it. That's why I stated that. My process is very simple. If you want me to go out to the field with you and work the case, we split 50-50, right? So let me back it up. I operate under a four-part training process. The first part, we go together and you observe and take notes. If we write business, 50-50. The second part, we both go out together and we both do it together. If we write business, we split 50-50. The third part, we both go out to the field and you run the business and I just observe you. If we write the business, you take 75, I take 25. And then the fourth part, you go out by yourself. And if you come back with an application, you write the business 100%. So there's incentive of getting down those four parts, both in the training, but also in the ability for you to retain more of your commission along the journey, right? Now, once you're fully trained and you're done, if you need me to go out to a field meeting with you and I'm actually going to be dealing with the clients 50-50. If you just need me to work behind the scenes, meaning help you case design, help you see if there's what the F&A looks like, what the opportunity, what you recommend. Like if you want me to be hands-on in that world, it's just 25 for me, 75 for you. Right? Don't get me wrong. If it's like hey, can you help me with this quick illustration? Cool, no problem, right? No problem. But if you need me to schedule a meeting with you to really show you how to present the illustration back and forth, post that 4-step training. Don't try to shortcut that 4-step training and jump right to that, because now you're hurting yourself. Post that 4-step training. You need me to role play with you how to present the IUL. I'll do that for you, no problem. And then go and close it and we split it 25-75. That make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool. Okay. And again, that's my process. Agency owners who running their own operation, run their own game, however they want to do it. You got to be respectful of that. I'm actually your VP. So that's the way that I operate. But I say that because some of you guys here are operating under a different VP agency and they're going to have their own standards. If they choose to follow those standards, great. If they want to do it differently, that's their choice. Okay. Anybody else before I go into it? Because I do want to get something out the way. Good, good. Okay. Let me do something with you guys. The language I want to do right now, I want to talk about how to solidify your meetings. What you do when the person says yes, because it can be pretty disheartening and frustrating when you're on the phone, you're scheduling appointments, then you walk into a freaking calendar that's full and everything reschedules, right? I want you to know when that happens, you need to work heavily on your ability to solidify meetings. One thing that I used to make a mistake on, because I'd get nervous on the phone in the beginning. So when the person said yes, I was quick to be like, okay, awesome. I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye, click. Right? Like I spent no time nurturing and massaging that yes, creating edification around the yes, validating myself as a professional when the person says yes. So two things happen when people are nervous. They speak really quick, and when they get the yes, they want to get off the phone. When you get a yes, slow down, take a breath, and now massage that yes. Here's what I mean by yes. Number one, I'm leading the client towards what I want. Okay, the questions I'm asking for is with an assumption of a yes, not a can we meet, because then they can give you a no. It's an assumptive yes. So my language, if I'm calling, let's say, a final expense lead, right? And I'll use the back end of the script, right? I notice here that you're located in Naples, Florida, off of Commerce Avenue. Yes, okay. I'm scheduled to be out that way this afternoon and then again tomorrow. Which of the 2 days would work better for you? Tonight, or tomorrow, right? So it's the assumption that they're saying yes. Oh, tomorrow's going to work. Okay, awesome. Mornings or afternoon? Morning will work. Okay, great. I have 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. available. So I'm still leading the conversation, but I'm giving them choices. The choices, however, I'm controlling. I'm controlling those choices, right? Now, once they give me that time, I'm going to repeat that time a few times. I'm going to repeat it a couple times, and I'm going to let them know what I'm going to do. I'm going to let them know exactly what I'm going to do to make sure that that appointment is held on my end so that they can do the same. So my verbiage to them is this. Okay, great. I've got you down for 11 o'clock on Tuesday. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this on my calendar. I'm going to ask you to politely do the exact same thing. That way, if something comes up on my end, if anyone in my organization wants to schedule a meeting, I'm going to know that I've already got time blocked off to meet with you. And I'd love for you to be able to do the exact same thing. In addition, I want you to do a couple things. If for whatever reason you need to reschedule, I need to know at least 12 hours in advance so that I could reposition my calendar. Is that fair with you? I'll do the exact same for you as well. Cool. If I don't hear from you, can I take the assumption that we're good to go? Yes, perfect. I'll see you then tomorrow at 11 a.m. and I have your address down as ... and ... Is that correct? Perfect. Does that make sense? I don't want to be their alarm clock. A lot of times people say, oh, just call me to confirm. That's the worst thing you can do in the planet. The moment you say yes to that, they don't have to put it on their calendar because they know they're going to get a call from you. And if they don't put it on their calendar, their cousin Ray is going to call them 2 days, that later on that evening and tell them, hey, let's go out to the bar at that hour. And they're going to schedule it. And now all of a sudden you're a reschedule, right? So I never want to be their alarm clock. I always want my meeting to also be at their home. I don't want a third-party location that makes them get in their car and drive because they'll forget. That way, if they at least do forget, I'm knocking on their door no matter what. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I don't run a one-legged appointment. One-legged appointment means I'm not going to just meet with the husband or the wife. I want both. I think Puebli saw that I actually went out to a meeting. And when I went out to that meeting, she wasn't ready with her husband. Her husband wasn't available. I rescheduled it. I'm not going to take energy out. Guys, it's emotionally draining having meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. This is an emotional business. You're talking insurance. It's draining when you have that emotion and that connection with somebody, and then you got to meet the husband and do it all over again. Believe it or not, it hurts you because the first person that saw you looks at you presenting the second time and then picks up on your script. And I'm not going to lie, guys, I'm a recording machine. When I hit play, I go. I mean, literally, my jokes are the same. My pitch is the same. My tonality is the same. My ups and downs are the same. It's the same. The last thing I need them is seeing it twice. That's the last thing. I'm doing twice the work and I'm hurting myself. So I never have one-legged appointments. husband and wife, and I have no problem rescheduling if for whatever reason one of them can't meet me. I also have no problem rescheduling if they don't have copies of their policies. If they have policies, I need them to be prepared to show it to me. And if they don't, let's set up another time, which again, I think proactively. So if they have policies and my meeting with them is on Thursday, I want to collect their policies Wednesday, because the last thing I want to do is walk into Thursday and they don't have it there with them. So I want to collect it Wednesday so that I'm prepared for Thursday's meeting. So those are the little things that I learned that helped up my game to how many appointments I actually kept. My meetings were at their house. If you deal with business owners, you never meet them at their job. You know why? Their job is their baby. It's their most important stinking thing. Trust me, you do not have their attention when they're at work. The moment a customer comes to the door, you are the last thing that they're thinking about. Your meeting is at their home. There's also a psychology to being at the home. You're about to talk to them about something important. And it just so happens that what they're protecting is in that home. The roof over their heads, the kids running around playing, the wife cooking, or the wife right there next to them. Like they're right there. What's important to them is right there around them. And on top of that, I'll tell you why I love to make sure I have husband and wife together. Some households, right? Both of them have to make those decisions together. Some households, one of them makes a decision, right? 90% of the time when it's a household where one makes a decision, who is it? It's the man. It's the man who makes a decision. However, this is an emotional sale. You know who you need? You need the woman's emotion there. You know how you get the husband to buy in? You become his wingman. You ready for this? You like this? This is how I do this. I do a dime analysis on the husband. After I've done this dime analysis on the husband, and I've done the wife's analysis as well, I'll stop for a moment and I say, listen, ma'am, I just want to tell you something. I deal with clients left and right every single day. And I just want you to know, there's not many men that would tell me the story that he just told me right now, what he wants to leave behind. I just want you to know that. There's not that many men that'll think the way your husband thinks. You did a good job. That man right there is a keeper, because most men I'm fighting with just to make sure they leave enough money behind just to cover the funeral costs. This man is telling you he wants to make sure your kids go to school. He wants to make sure that you're replacing your income. He wants to make sure that you're covered. He wants to make sure that you know all the bills are dead, your house completely paid. Ma'am, I just want you to know something. You're blessed, because not many men think that way. You know what happens when you have that kind of a conversation? Their hands are on top of the table like this. You know what ends up happening? Her hand goes underneath the table and grabs his hand. You're in, bro. You're in. Literally, when she's not looking, look at the dude in the eyes and wink. I got you, bro. Tonight's going to be a good night for you, bro. Now, listen, my dude, don't reduce that insurance. Otherwise, I'm going to call you out. Because here's what's going to happen. You do this dime analysis and then you price it out. And the client says to you, no, I think we're going to do half. Remember, women operate with emotion. They want the story. Men operate with their budget, right? So the man sometimes is going to say, you know, I think we're going to do half. Okay, good. No problem. You know what I do when they tell me I want to do half? I take out the dime analysis again. I go, let me ask you a question. What are we cutting out of this picture? Are we cutting out the mortgage? Are we cutting out education for the kids? Are we cutting out the bills? Because 1 + 1 is 2. So if we're only going to do half of this, what of this story are we not going to tell your family? And then you shut up and you listen. You know what ends up happening? Wife will go like this. Right? Like, okay, what are we cutting out? You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden the story changes again. You get what I'm going with? That's why you want them both there. You want to read them. You want to see the psychology. Who's the decision maker? Who's not? Don't get me wrong. There's also occasions where the woman is the one that makes the decisions. And that's okay as well, too. When that happens, just flip it the same exact way. The same exact way. Just, you got to understand the psychology of both of them and how they interact together. You really genuinely do. You know, sometimes, you know, you talk to the husband's like, no, I want to get this IUL. I want to get this IUL. I want to get this IUL. And then wife comes in and like, what the hell are you talking about? We ain't got the budget for that. No. That ain't what we need. And all of a sudden, well, okay, honey, I think you're right. You know what you just saved yourself there? A freaking huge chargeback. You did. You just saved yourself a huge chargeback. That's why you need them both there. So, but the first thing you need to do is you need to know how to solidify meetings. Solidification of meetings. Number one, don't be their alarm clock. Don't be their alarm clock. Give them a deadline to reschedule, right? If you do need to reschedule, Mr. Klein, I need you to do me a favor and give me at least a 12-hour notice. And I'm going to be professional enough and respectful enough of your calendar that I'm going to do the exact same. If you don't hear from me, I'm knocking on your door at 3 o'clock, right? Is it safe to assume that if I don't hear from you, I can expect the same? Of course, no problem. Perfect. I got you on my calendar. Wednesday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon at your home. Here's the address. Is that confirmed? Yes, it is. Beautiful. Look forward to meeting you. Have a great day. Done. Solidify. Solidify. Meetings at their house, not a third-party location. Does that make sense? That'll help you. That'll help you keep a lot of the work that you're doing, right? So don't be that person that says, you know, you do the script, they said, yes, okay, awesome, I'll see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock, click. Take a breather. Now massage that yes, work that yes, be the professional so you can keep that yes. That's my time. If you guys don't have any other questions, I went over by 16 minutes, I apologize. Hopefully this was beneficial. Again, what I want is your two takeaways. Go on the group chat. Let me hear your 2 takeaways, okay? And let's make sure that everybody here that's purchased leads, everybody here that's still working in their natural market, you work those calls. That's your first domino to this business. No calls, no business, okay? But you make sure that all that hard work equates to an actual meeting on the field that you're scheduled. Have a good one. Be blessed. Bye-bye.
Thank you.